Modern space travel was so safe that incidents were a rounding error. Modern space travel was so safe that even the highly safe human air aviation transportation system of the early 21st century was a terrifyingly reckless gamble by comparison. Modern space travel was coordinated by a neutral grid of evolved AI, and the debris clearing systems, collision avoidance systems, error reduction systems, mechanical repair systems, and distress response systems coordinated by that EAI grid rendered the possibility of danger so remote as to be a fantasy. As I found to my chagrin, when one endured existence within that rounding error, none of this was a comfort. Our light dual-purpose passenger transport hauler continued to drift through space. Emergency lighting was dimmer than it should have been due to the extensive damage to our power grid, and our distress beacon had failed to fire. Like the rest of the multi-species crew aboard the Starhopper, I sat glumly resigned to my fate, already imagining that I felt the first growing claws of thirst, hunger, and failure of the air recirculation system. Unlikely, as systems had only been down for about half of a standard hour, but I could not remove these phantom fears from my brain. Despite the fact that the captain's death in the deceleration event had made me, as helmsman, the acting captain, I could not seem to snap myself out of my resignation. My glum internal reverie was interrupted by hurried but steady movements to my right. Flight Officer Perkins, the human, our new nav officer for the last few weeks, was hard at work muttering and examining a pair of circuit boards he had pulled from the nav console, which he had unceremoniously torn open after it closed in automatic low-power status. I had never served with a human, and their chaotic reputation made it impossible to get a good feel for any individual human, even if you had already met others. I decided on a direct approach. "Flight Officer Perkins, what are you doing?" "Just a second, almost done. Caleb is fine, by the way." "Very well, Caleb. What are you doing?" "Just a second, man, keep your shirt on." "I remain garbed as previously I was garbed, Caleb." "Oh my god. Helmsman to Peck, please stand by." "I will stand by. I still do not understand the relevance of my clothing. Yenil is sufficient, by the way." "Cool. Okay, here. Have a look." Caleb used his powerful human legs to scoot his command chair over my direction in its swinging arm. It was comical, if not a bit intimidating, to see that his legs were powerful enough to swing his body around and move it while seated, and powerfully evoked his rare primitive lineage, though he seemed unaware of the show of force. "You okay, Yenil?" "Yes, you just startled me with how strong your legs are." "Sorry, I forget primates are rare." "Monkey strong, right?" He grinned at me, his pearly white teeth flashing in the low light. I blinked. "Yes, Caleb, monkeys are strong." "Forget it, old joke. Okay, so you see where the Navcom short-fried the SOS circuit here?" "I do not see as well in the low light as your species." "Right, sorry." Caleb illuminated the circuit board with a handheld light, holding the board up to me and adjusting the light with impressive dexterity. "How about now?" "I see a burn mark. I do not know your systems." "You all don't cross-train for emergencies?" "We do cross-train, but I am command track, not engineering. I don't need to know what's behind the panels." Caleb shook his head ruefully. "Man, how you have not been eaten by this universe, I don't know. Scout's motto, man, you've got to be prepared. How can you know who is going to be incapacitated in an emergency?" I bristled. "We have skills that permit us to deal with this universe perfectly adequately." Caleb put his hands up in the universal surrender motion. "Hey, sorry, no offense. I just forget you all don't have quite as checkered a history as we do." That was an understatement. I had only taken a single semester elective on humanity at the Intergalactic Merchant Beings Academy, but the memorable takeaway had been that it was a minor miracle that humanity had not annihilated itself on any of a dozen occasions. They were a blood-washed species, and it was not, upon reflection, surprising that their emergency protocols assumed greater loss of life than our own. "Very well, the apology is accepted." "Cool. Okay, so that burn mark is the actuator circuit that should have launched our distress beacon. That means the failure started here when our system shorted. This makes sense. Don't you understand, Yinil, what that means? It means that the system is damaged. Think broader, Yinil. It means that we're going to die here as soon as the recirculatory system on the ship fails. What? And you're just accepting that? Ah, so this was the famous human survival drive. I had learned about this briefly at the IMA. Caleb, yes, I am accepting that. Everyone on this ship is accepting that. Most species do not have the drive to survive that you humans have. Systems usually do not fail, but when systems fail, we die. We are not happy about it, but we accept it. Too easily, man. What you're missing is that the failure was here. That means the distress beacon and the launcher system are probably fine. It's just a circuit that failed to close. So? Yinil, it means we could go out there and launch it manually. My blue blood ran black in terror. Out there? Into hard vacuum? Drifting? Yeah, man, you have Viva suits. I've seen them. For dry dock, Caleb, we're drifting at travel velocities. If we failed to correctly maglash for even one step or handhold, we'd be launched into oblivion. And we die. Yes! Just like we're going to die now when the air runs out? It's different. One is a natural death. It's normal. One is being flung through eternity. Caleb sighed. What do you know about the survival drive humans have, Yinil? From what I learned at the IMA, it comes from the vigorous competition on your birth world. Many other species were trying to survive at odds with humanity, so you had to want to survive more, whereas most species evolved in fairly hospitable environments, with room for plenty of co-growth. Caleb laughed and rolled his shoulders, a human gesture I recognize as a non-committal shrug. Yeah, that's a pretty good classroom description. Is there more to it? I was genuinely curious. Caleb turned and looked at me appraisingly, saying nothing for a long moment. I felt my antenna perk up and a trickle of fear begin to build. For a moment, the predator in my casual and relaxed shipmate was visible. Yeah, Yinil, there's more. Such as? I don't know, man. It's not just some belief we have, or an opinion. It's hardwired. It's like part of our body. We can't sit back and accept our fate the way most of you can. We're not as scared of a frightening death as we are of not even trying to survive. It's not something we can change. We want life and we claw for it. There's little we won't do for it. There was a long silence on the bridge. Other officers have been eavesdropping on the conversation without much subtlety, and were now not even pretending not to hear, staring in naked fascination as the quiet nav officer opened up about the always mysterious human mind. After a while, Caleb spoke again, so suddenly that half the bridge jumped, including me. Well, I'm heading out there. Fear welled in my chest. Caleb, you will be at terrible risk. Caleb's smile smaller this time, no teeth. It was a softer gesture. Yeah, thanks for caring, Yinil, but I used to climb in the rockets. I'll be okay. In mute terror, I watched him leave the bridge. With emergency power, I pulled up a camera and audio feed as Caleb approached the airlock. Over the intercom, I told him the best suited Eva suit with the most charge and strongest mag clamps. He thanked me, suited up, exited the airlock, and clambered about on the Skyhopper's hull. Caleb, can you hear me? Whoa, I can definitely feel that inertia. Yeah, Yinil, mag clamps holding, comline good. His voice came through, tinny and strained through the ship-to-exo comline. Good. Be careful. Thanks, Yinil. I was going to just be super reckless, but now I will be careful. That is good. Being reckless would have been dangerous. I am not sure why that was your initial approach. For an unknown reason, he laughed. Glad I can count on you to set me straight, Yinil. Finally, he arrived at the distress beacon and linked his suit. I watched him review the readouts over a long moment. Finally, it looked as though he was staring off into space. I opened the comm again, concerned he was allowing the terror of the void to overwhelm him. Caleb, can you hear me? Are you able to access the distress beacon? Yeah, it's like I thought. System is fine, it just never got the trigger. He did not sound scared or overwhelmed. His voice simply sounded heavy, not at all like the casual shipmate I had known for just a few weeks. I didn't realize how accustomed I had become to his levity. Now that it was gone, a heavy feeling set in. "What is wrong, Caleb?" He didn't try denying it. "How much do you know about the distress beacon technology, Yanil? Is it in your cross-training?" I was confused. "A fair bit. The basics. Yes, the distress beacon is covered." "Remind me how it works." "It's simple. The beacon receives a signal from the ship. It uses its short booster to launch away from the ship, then at about 10 standard units away from the hull, it activates its hyperspace impeller and travels within range of the nearest hypercom array, then it transmits a standard..." My voice trailed off in horror as I realized Caleb's meaning. Oh no. Yeah. The hyperspace impeller was well-known technology on ships of all sizes. As a staple technology that enabled galactic life, most people understood the basics of its function, including a brief magnetic reversal of magnetic fields within a moderate range upon engagement. It wasn't long, but the interruption of the field on the maglocks would be more than enough to send Caleb hurtling into infinity. "Caleb, abort. Come back in. We'll find a way to rig a comm line to the beacon." "Can't do that, Yanil." "Yes, you can. Just walk back in the way you walked out," I said, perplexed. Caleb's laughter through the comm line was soft. "The distress beacon is a level 1 command system. You ought to know that, Command Track. It needs bridge or physical exo-level authorization. Remote line won't work." "We will find a way to remote rig the suit." "That's a good idea, Yanil. Now you're thinking like a human. How long do you think that would take?" "Maybe an hour or two with current system status. Main engineering systems will be down, but we can find a way to put something together." "Yeah, I figured. I checked the recirculatory system levels on my way out, Yanil. The ship is at 46 minutes. There was a long silence as I searched my brain for alternatives. "We can form a chain of people to hold you." "Not enough suits, and their mags would fail too." "You could brace yourself somewhere in the superstructure." "Nowhere close enough to the beacon to grab on." "We can rig a line around your waist." "At these velocities, that'll just bisect me and rip a hole in the ship, Yanil." I felt a spark of genuine anger well inside of me, a rarity for my calm, logical species. "Stop shooting down every idea I have! You're the human. You're hardwired for survival, so be hardwired and find a way!" The next silence stretched long before Caleb's voice came through. It still sounded tired, but was warm. "You're pretty uptight, Yanil, but you're a good guy. I'd like to know you better." "Caleb, you are hardwired to survive," I repeated suddenly. "Yeah, buddy. But that's not the only thing we're hardwired for. There's even deeper wiring." "Caleb, no!" I could see him through the camera as he used his Exo's control panel to issue the launch command. "We save our friends. See you around, Yanil." There was a thump throughout the Starhopper, then a metallic thrum as the hyperspace impeller fired, and Caleb was gone. EAI-directed rescue and repair ships arrived at the Starhopper 32 minutes later. The silence on the bridge as the ship settled into dry dock was profound. One by one, the bridge crew filtered out until I sat alone. I sat for a long time. Systems Officer Varanin, having wandered back, hesitantly said, "Helmsman, are you coming?" "I'm coming, Varin. Keep your shirt on." I stood and glanced at the damaged circuit board that Caleb had diagnosed, saving us all. On a whim, I snatched it and placed it in my pocket. Most humans had families. I wanted his to know about the 92 lives on the Starhopper, 91 assorted passengers and crew, and one new friend that he saved.